All right. Welcome to the Canine Oasis podcast. I've got Tina here. Turns out she is. It's cool how this connection happened because I think I mentioned on a previous podcast that. Oh, I'm getting some echo now. Maybe it's just if I get too close. So, anyways, I mentioned previously how sometimes you just start taking that step forward and the stars align. You start meeting people that you're supposed to meet. And right after sharing that, my mother in law texted me and said um, that Tina was working on a rescue and was starting um, like a social media presence or YouTube or something like that. And she's like, you should get in touch with her. So we started talking, and she's got some cool content, some pretty awesome videos. I think even people who aren't into rescue, like if you're into urban farming or homesteading, like you got some great content on there about taking care of animals and
Thank
um,
you.
stuff like that. So yeah, so now we're talking and um, share some connections even within the rescue world and stuff like that. So it's super exciting.
Yes.
So I don't know. You sent me. I asked for it, and you sent me your kind of bio, but I don't want to just read it. Like, why don't you tell us your experience with animals and how that transitioned into you getting into rescue work?
I fell in love with animals honestly from the minute I could remember. There's a picture of me on the couch in this big family setting with aunts and uncles, and there's this kitty cat, and someone's holding this cat. And I'm probably 3 years old. I mean, I honestly don't remember what the picture, and I'm just sitting there and I'm pouting and I'm upset because I'm not holding the kitty cat. So that's, I believe, like just from day one, I've been drawn to animals. And then when I was 8 years old, I saw two big dogs wandering on my street. So I captured these dogs. I have no idea how I captured them because I'm an 8-year-old girl and these are big, fluffy dogs. I have no fear of animals, which probably isn't a good thing, but I grab them, I bring them inside, I put them in my closet, and my sister's like, "You're gonna get in trouble." And I'm like, "No, it'll be fine. It'll totally be fine." It wasn't that long before my mom's like, "These dogs are not living in your closet." And she kicked them out. Then they're back on in front of the house, and she's like, "They'll go home." And my heart was just broken because I'm like, that's like they need help. So that was a big part of like how important animals were to me. I used to go around the neighborhood, take pictures of animals, any animal I could find. I'd take a picture of it. I'd try to, touch stray cats. I'd get bit. I picked up a baby chipmunk when I was 5. I mean, just no fear. And then when I was 15, I was like, cool, now I make my own money, so I'll start helping animals and adopting animals and taking them in. And it drove my dad crazy, absolutely crazy. So I would collect like little feral cats and kittens and cats. And then I finally got my first dog that was going to go to the pound. And, one dog turned into 3, turned into 5, turned into 10. And then I met the pig. And I finally had the property to where I could have animals like that. I always thought I wanted to be a horse vet. And then I wanted like a bunch of horses, and it turned out pigs are my my passion, and I never would have imagined that. So I have horses, donkeys, goats, pigs, 4 dogs, 2 cats, some chickens, and a turkey. So it's a full house, and they've taught me so much. So that's kind of me in a little nutshell. And then I also groomed for 24 years. So, and here I am
Love
today.
it. Yeah, that gives me so many questions. And I guess the first one I had was having no fear of animals. Has that led to you getting in any rough situations, being bit or something because you just didn't have that fear?
Honest,
Or
like honestly, on the grooming table aspect or picking, well, I did pick up a Chihuahua that was running around 5 dogs in the dark, and I tried to catch that one and try to catch all of them, and it bit me really bad, and like so bad where I'm like, okay, okay, fine, like I can't help you, like you won't let me help you. So I've gotten bit like that with strays. Does it scare me? No. And then on the grooming table, I don't get bit. I've almost gotten bit, but I just kind of like can figure out their energy and their body language, and then I'm not afraid, so they don't really also need to be uptight. And then the worst bite I got was actually breaking up a dog fight of my own dogs.
mm,
So that sent me to the emergency room with stitches, and it ripped out my nail and all that. So otherwise, no.
yeah.
I I haven't really had a lot of bad bite cases, or it's been by cats, you know.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. I feel like a lot of times that fear or any kind of energy influences the reactions of a dog. And I just saw a post by a guy that runs a doggy daycare and does training, and he mentioned how a lot of pet parents set up their dogs for failure because
mm-hmm.
they're so worried about dropping them off, and they're just so emotionally in turmoil that when they drop them off, the dog no longer has confidence in where they are and what's going
Yeah,
on. And it's like if you say your goodbyes before and you just come up, shake my hand, pass them over, then it's a different story. There's this relationship of trust. They're like, oh, mom or dad is totally chill with this. I'm supposed to be here. That's cool.
yeah,
And I think it was a great example of how our energy does affect how our dogs feel, and that a lot of the problems that I see with dogs are that they don't have that leadership. That for whatever
yes,
reason they perceive their handler as being wishy-washy. They feel like they
mm-hmm.
have to step into that role. They don't know how, and that's where
Yeah,
you get a lot of the behaviors.
definitely. That's kind of where they mirror what you need to work on, for sure.
Yeah,
Like they really are the greatest teachers in life. Any animal, it's incredible. But yeah, so if we learn, then we can help them, which
yeah.
is great.
So, what is it about pigs?
Oh my gosh, they are, they're the underdog. They get thrown away. I mean, 95% of them lose their homes. They're a cute little piglet, and then they grow up and they get kind of gnarly and weird looking, and people get bored of them because they're just chill, peaceful animals if they're given the right environment. If they're spayed and neutered, they have everything they need. They have companionship with another pig. They really are great, but I just I don't think people do their research on them, or they get bored of them, or they think that they're going to stay super tiny. So yeah, when I met the first pig, I was like, they are actually the first pig I got woke me up at like 2 in the morning screaming its head off, and I was like, did I just make the biggest mistake of my life? And it wasn't. And then after that, I started rescuing pigs, and it's actually been like the greatest thing I've ever done. But yeah, they're like little human beings. They have the emotional intelligence of like a 2 or 3 year old kid. So they're just
Yeah,
very emotional. And they're prey animals, so they're a little bit more hesitant. Like a dog can love anybody and everybody, and they're just like, hey, whatever, hey. But pigs, it's like they're just a little bit more cautious. And so when you develop that relationship with them, it is the most beautiful relationship between an animal and a human, in my opinion. I mean, they're all
yeah,
beautiful, but they just caught my heart. So
love it.
gotta love the pigs.
Um, yeah, and that brings up one of the concepts that we've connected on just through our emails and stuff. So a lot of what I want to do with um, the dog park and everything I do is just to help dogs have more fulfilled lives, better relationships with their owners or handlers, get them out of shelters, keep them from having to be euthanized. And I feel like the negative part of the equation in any one of those areas often has to do with people getting dogs that it's kind of a rude way to say it, but maybe they had no business having.
Yeah,
And some of the examples I've seen are the guy who, I don't know if they're compensating or what, but they got to have the cane corso because it's big and beefy. And it's like, yeah, but he's used to being in charge too. So if you don't have a very structured
mm-hmm.
um, training regimen and really reinforce that, then he's going to start bullying people.
Yeah,
And or I've seen a lot of young ladies who see the Malinois and they're like, oh, that'd be great to have a protection dog that can protect me, and they're so smart and trained and be fun to do this stuff, but they don't understand all the hundreds of hours that went into that
yeah,
training, and maybe don't have a big yard for them to even run around in and stuff. And so I think the German Shepherds and Malinois are just notorious for, if they don't get enough physical stimulation, you come
yeah.
home to a house that's torn up.
Yes.
So
Yeah, no, I agree. People don't really, they kind of see an animal and they just think it's cute. Or they like that blue eyed dog. They're like, I'm going to get it because it's so pretty. And it's like, do you really want that blue eyed dog? Because that blue eyed dog comes with this, this, and this, and this. And if you're okay with that, then that's awesome. But yeah, just people don't really, they kind of go with with what it looks like. It's a little outfit over
yeah.
its needs and personality, which is unfortunate.
Mhm. So, do you have any ideas on how we could help that situation as far as getting people to understand what they're
I
getting
think,
into?
I mean, when you have the trends on TV, like anytime there's like you had the Taco Bell dog, and then all of a sudden the shelters are filled with Chihuahuas, and people are like, so I mean that's a really good question, but it seems like whenever there's a trendy animal, those are the ones that kind of end up in the shelter because people don't really understand what they're getting into.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, I guess like the rescues and social media can put as much out there, or even disclaimers on movies or anything would be helpful. Like, hey, this breed is not suitable for everybody. Um, I don't know if these ideas really help, but it just seems like everybody wants the trend. Like right now, the trend is the golden doodles,
Hmm.
and to me, I'm like, oh, it breaks my heart because the shelters are going to be filled with them in a few years, just like the Chihuahuas,
Yeah.
just like the pit bulls, just like the Huskies are now, and then the Malinois, they'll be there too because of all the movies, and they're yes, they're beautiful, wonderful dogs in their own little way, but it's not for everybody. So to get that out there, it's really tough. I mean, shelters could probably just give little stories or ask more questions. I've had a shelter where they're like, yes, a female healer would not work for you because you have so many female dogs. Unfortunately, I didn't listen, and so I
Hmm.
got a healer from a different rescue, and she fights dogs. So the rescues know what they're talking about. Just 12 years ago, I was ignorant and thought that I was Caesar Milan, and
Yeah.
it didn't work out that great. So it's just a management issue, and so I've learned the hard way, and I understand like what each breed entails now, and I take it a lot more seriously. So
Yeah.
yes, that rescue did its job, but mm, my ears were plugged apparently.
Hmm.
So I don't know. What are your
Yeah.
ideas on that?
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's two-sided. So I think rescues do a good job. Most people who run rescues, they're scraping by, or they're losing money. They're not even quite scraping by, but they're just doing it because they love it and they want to make
Yeah.
a difference. And at least the ones I've interacted with, anyways, they spend extra time really screening applicants and stuff and trying to make sure that the right dog's getting into the right home. And conversely, shelters, especially government run shelters that I've been at, they're just trying to get the dogs moving, which
Yeah.
I don't I don't fault them a whole lot, because like the Maricopa shelter, they're up to almost 900 dogs I think right now,
Oh
and
my
that's
gosh.
I think a couple hundred more than they're really equipped for. You look at the LA shelters, and their kennels are double booked. They have the inside and outside. There's a dog in each side of those. And then they have them just in a bunch of crates, and like travel crates, even, that they don't have
Oh,
room to even get up and move around. And so I understand that they're trying to give that dog to have a chance to have a home and room to move around and stuff. But I know when years ago, a dog that didn't work out for our family, the rescue didn't talk to us about any of that stuff. They're just like, hey, here's a cute dog. Yay, he loves your family. Take him.
what kind of breed was
And
that? Oh, sorry.
he was like a pit lab mix.
Yeah.
Um, so, and like, knowing what I know now, I think he would have been a great dog for our family. But back then I didn't know. And luckily things worked out for him, because a girl I worked with, her parents had a ranch out in the Arizona desert somewhere, and they had two dogs. One of them had passed away, and the other one was kind of getting depressed from being lonely. So we sent Brownie over there to see if it would be a good fit, and the two of them got along great. Turns out Brownie loves hunting scorpions, so he'd come back with a swollen face, just happy as could be, like, I got one. And so I got updates for a few months, and I was like, all right, he's in the place that's right for him.
That's
And
really cool.
but yeah, they didn't mention anything about breed specific behaviors. I know they're doing a lot better job nowadays of giving materials out of like, hey, rescue dogs, they've been in a traumatic environment, and you need to give them a certain amount of time to decompress before you
Hmm.
can even really start building your relationship. And but along with that is, like you said, sometimes people just don't listen.
Yeah.
They're just excited um, that they're getting a dog. And so I think a lot of times we overestimate our capability to deal with stuff, or like, oh, that's for other people, that doesn't really apply to me. What was I just had another thought about it. Must not have been important. So yeah, I think it's going to be grassroots. It's people like you and me who start leaning into our passion. And for me, doing a podcast is somewhat terrifying. Like if I say something wrong or whatever, and but the fact that it's important to start having these conversations is what pushes me through that comfort,
Yeah.
into that discomfort. And I think that'll allow people to know, as I've learned more about dogs. My mom and dad, they rescued a husky, and she's super high energy, and she redirected on my wife a few times when we were over. My wife had taken my dog over, and she just was frustrated and nipped my wife, bruised her leg, didn't break skin or anything. But then my dad's like, hey, she's doing so much better as I've taken her to the dog park where she can run around and socialize and stuff like that. He's like, so I think what would be great is if we got another dog and then they could play together. And I was like, Dad, your dog is not trained. She's bit people. Like now you're just going to add more chaos into that mix. And it came from a
Yeah.
good place in his heart. And luckily I'd had enough exposure to dog training and stuff like that at this point that I could talk to him and say, hey, I think it'd be great for you to get another dog, but not right now. And so I hooked him up with a trainer that I had used. And I think they're getting something put together where they can go train Millie and get her to a point where maybe. And I think the other thing is recognizing that beyond breeds, each dog is an individual.
Mm-hmm.
And it may be that Millie never wants another dog around, and we have to respect that individuality of each dog.
Yeah.
But for some
Otherwise, you have
reason,
a
we want
nightmare.
that dog. Like my dog better like every person and every other dog and look cute and whatever.
Yeah. And they're not always like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. I got my dog Chongo. He's a chocolate lab, and I wanted a hunting buddy, but he doesn't have that strong retrieving drive like most labs do. And so
Yeah.
we haven't gone hunting, but he's still my best buddy. And,
It's probably a good thing though that he's not from the working lines, because I hear they're a little bit more hyper and like they need a lot of um, redirection every single day, get their
mm-hmm.
energy out and all that. So maybe it's a good thing.
Yeah, probably for where our family was at when we got him. That probably
Yeah.
is better. So getting into the rescue work, what do you feel like are some of the major challenges facing animals and in the world of rescue specifically?
So it's really hard when you see like an animal that's just been neglected or spoiled rotten, or just there's all these different components, and then they lose their home and then they're heartbroken and you're rebuilding them, and then when you lose an animal, when they die, it's just like there's so much heartache with it and so much energy and emotion that goes into it. It's really not easy, but it also is like you have so much, they fill your heart with so much love and you give them so much love, and it is great to see them turn around and start thriving again. But it is really frustrating when these animals just don't have their needs met, where their hoofs are overgrown or they're super overweight or they're too skinny or they're just mean because they've been spoiled. Like these pigs, they can get mean if they're spoiled.
Yeah.
And then I have to come and retrain all that and redirect them and hope that they can turn around. So there's a lot that goes into it. With every single species, there's just a lot that goes into it, and a lot of it's because of human neglect or ignorance, or their heart's in the
Yeah.
right place but they don't understand what they're doing. There's a lot of different components there, but it is the coolest thing when they turn around. The coolest thing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. It makes me think of like another problem with just the happiness of dogs is when people treat them like little children and they're dressing them up and they're carrying them in the purse and they're not walking, they're not exercising, they're not being intellectually challenged in a way that's meaningful to them. And it comes from a good heart. It's a guy or a gal that's just pouring all their love into it, but it's in a way that actually is damaging to what they need
Yeah,
a lot of times.
it really is, because they need a purpose and they just need to be a dog. Every animal just needs to be what they are. But yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Let's see here. got kind of some notes. We've already like kind of talked about half of them. So I guess interestingly, how do dogs and like pigs differ in meeting their needs?
Well, so like dogs need an outlet, dogs need exercise, dogs need a role model, and they either are going to be the leader or you have to be the leader, and that dynamic is kind of figured out right away. Same with pigs, like they need a leader, and unfortunately with pigs they think they're on the same level of you or above you. So to get the pig to be like, I'm above you in this, like I'm top hog, you're not top hog, it's a different it's a different challenge for sure. But yeah, pigs need their sunshine, they need to root around, they need a different diet, they need their hoofs trimmed, they need swimming pools in the summertime, so they have different needs that they're met. So a lot of these pigs get stuck inside 24/7 without any of those outdoor needs. And it's fine to have an indoor pig. I have several pigs that have to be indoor outdoor because of their special needs, but people just don't realize how important it is for them to be a pig and to root around, to get their minerals and just have sunshine. And then same with dogs, like dogs need their outdoor time, they need their outlet. It's like if you can't take them for a walk, they need something to stimulate them in their environment to kind of get out their wiggle. So that's kind of, it's just different. Like to me it's easier having 45 pigs than it was having 10 dogs,
Yeah.
because it's just different. Like dogs are so hyper, and it takes a lot more to wear them out, whereas a pig, it's like, here's your herd, here's some dirt and a pool, and have fun. So it's different.
Yeah. It's I guess different facets but the same needs. There's um the physical needs and also the intellectual. And so
Yeah.
there's something I've heard a few times lately, and I don't know if there's anything to quantify, but they're like, hey, rooting or um like foraging for a dog through, like they have the little carpet mats that you can put their food in, so they got to dig around and find it.
Oh yeah.
They say like 15 minutes of that is the same as an hour of vigorous walking. And like I don't know that you can quantify that, but I do know that it does cover that a little bit. Like they can get exhausted from that
Yeah.
intellectual exercise. And
Yes.
so it's been helpful for us to know that. Like my wife, she'll usually feed the dog in the morning, and she gives him half of his food in a bowl and the other half is in a towel that'll be rolled up and tied in a knot.
Hmm.
Or we have a couple of other toys that he's got to pick at and pull apart to get the food. And it's been very good for him.
That's a really good idea, actually, because they have to work for their food, because in the wild they have to work for their food. So that's actually
Mm-hmm.
brilliant. I never even
Yeah.
thought of that, because I know they have like rooting mats for pigs where you put
Yeah.
your food in and then it keeps them busy and mentally stimulates them. But I never thought of that for dogs. It's a
Yeah.
really good idea.
Yeah. It's and there's times too where it's just, it's for kids when they start acting up and whatever, it's easy to throw them in front of a TV, and that's not good. And it's like, well, if we could throw them in something else and they're engaged in it and it's exercising their mind, but
Yeah.
you sometimes you need that moment, and it's nice to be able to direct it towards something that's actually going to benefit him too.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Huh.
So with rescue work, finances are a huge thing.
Yes, it is expensive to take care of all these animals. And luckily, 13 of my pigs, Ironwood, like they're forever foster. So Ironwood helps with their 13 pigs. So that's nice. And the rest are mine. But yeah, you basically work and your money goes to the animals, because I do it all out of my own pocket. And I'm, eventually thinking about starting my own nonprofit for the animal sanctuary and then doing animal education and things like that. So I'm trying to figure out where I can go with this, because you are just kind of limited of what you can do. Because to me, it's like if you can't afford it, then you shouldn't be. If you can't afford, like you have to be able to afford to add on more. So it's like you have to just
Right.
be smart. And a lot of people, their hearts are too big, and then they just get overwhelmed with the finances. And I don't want to be in that position where it's like, I can't take care of you, I can't feed you, and then you lose your home, and there's all the, it just spirals down. So I'm trying to think outside the box so I can do more to help animals, because right now this is kind of where I'm at, which is a lot of
Yeah.
animals to take care of.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of older
Yeah. It's
animals and special needs animals.
it blows my mind that you have that many animals and you're basically flipping the bill for it. Like that's a huge level of dedication. And
Yeah. Like it's my passion in life. Like since I was, young. And to me, I've never rented a day in my life. I've always owned something just so that I could make sure that my animals always had a roof over their head and that nobody could be like, oh, you can't come here because you have animals or your rent's up and you're always scrambling. So to me, I've just always been, I could take my animal responsibilities so serious. And I wish more people did for their sakes.
mm-hmm.
But then there are people out there that try and they have horrible situations. And then the best thing for the animal is to go someplace else. And I think there's a lot of shaming in that, unfortunately. And it makes it difficult for people to reach out and say, hey, I need help.
Yeah.
Because it shouldn't be like that. It should, like, you're struggling. Thank you for coming to us so that we can help you before this animal ends up in a really bad shape.
Yeah. Yeah. That's something that I've been working on lately because I'll hear a story and I'll get so angry, that somebody's dumping their animal. But the way they're going about it is they're looking for a rehome or they're looking for a shelter. Like at least they're trying to do it responsibly, even if I don't agree with their decisions. Like to me, if an animal comes in your home, that's part of your family.
Yeah.
And if it's going to go somewhere else, you're going to make sure it's going somewhere better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good way to
Um,
look at it.
but yeah, so I've had very hard feelings towards some people from the stories that I heard. And then somebody brought that to my attention of like, look, if we just shame these people all the time, then who's to say they don't drive them out to the desert and leave them there so they don't
Yeah.
have to face that.
And that's
And
what a lot of people do,
yeah.
unfortunately. Yeah, and then it's horrible that the shelters are full. Like all the pig fosters, all the pig rescues are full, the dog shelters are full. I mean, every rescue is, just overflowing with animals. And then people are like, please, and the people that really need it, like help, help, help. It's like there's nowhere for these animals to go. So it's like, what happens to them? You know what I mean? It's
Mm-hmm.
it's a crisis all over the world, really.
Yeah.
And then they breed like rabbits.
Yeah. That's I don't know, when we get the park started, I want to do where we can host like spay and neuter clinics and stuff like that, to try to help. But it's it's like a losing battle sometimes. You can do so much work, but the few people who don't worry about it, it's they
It
reproduce
just sets
so
everything
fast.
back. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it really, really does. And we've come so far with spaying and neutering, and I'm in shock that there's still a problem.
Yeah.
Because this was really pushed like in the 90s and 2000s. Spay and neuter your, like Bob Parker, spay and neuter your pets, and
Yeah.
I mean, and we're like, what does that mean? So he's done a great job of, and we've all come so far. So it's just, I don't understand.
Yeah.
But the day that there's no one wanted animals or there's only 10 in the shelters would be a great day.
Yeah. It's hard though. I mean, I feel like it's with any other issue. You look at lower income folks, they don't have the same access to education and things like that. Just a different radar, the things that they're looking at in life. And so,
Yeah,
unfortunately, I don't think we'll ever get to where we don't need those services, but I hope we can at least get to where it's manageable. And it's
I
just,
hope so
it
too.
breaks my heart.
Yeah,
So,
I think it's great that you're going to set up spay neuter clinics. Like, that's amazing. And
yeah,
the low cost spay neuter clinics, like, I have so much respect for them. Just going out there and trying to get as many done as possible. It's amazing. And then for you to be able to host that is wonderful.
yeah,
So wonderful.
yeah. I'm excited about that. And it's a way to help me balance because, like, if I just open this without the help of a business consultant, I'd probably run it into the ground real fast because I just have a big heart and I want to help
Yeah.
everybody. And so he's constantly reminding me, like, hey, if we make money and if we're successful, then we can take that success and lean into those things. But if you approach those initially and that's your focus and we don't make money, then we're not helping anybody. And so he's got to remind me of that sometimes. But that's one of the ways that I think we can lean into it is having events, whether it's quarterly or monthly or whatever, whether it's education, adoption events, spay neuter clinics,
Yeah.
things like that. I'm excited to like going back to the individuality of dogs. So Chongo, he's a chocolate lab, and he's not a huge retriever, but he loves sniffing. He's very smell driven,
Oh,
and I just started learning about scent work. And so I saw a video from a girl. She's like, "This is how I would introduce a dog to scent work." And then I texted the trainer that I've worked with, and he's like, "Yeah, that's a really good way to approach it initially." And so we've started doing that. And so it's another way that he has a lot of fun, and I think it improves our relationship. It helps his satisfaction, and just like we were talking before, doing that for a while um, can wear them out, and
yeah.
the tired dog's a happy dog, and to be able to
Yes.
tire them out in the things that they love most, that they're most interested in. But 10 years ago, I didn't know about scent work. I thought that was just for police dogs or
Yeah,
something.
I
I
didn't
didn't
know about
realize
that
it was a
either.
hobbyist thing. So I want to have like, I don't even know. Ideally, my dream would be to have clubs, whether it's us and we compete against other entities. Like there's the Zoom room that does agility training and stuff like that. To like get together and do a friendly competition to run like agility courses or fly ball. I just learned about recently. That's super fun. Um, Scent work or whatever, you know, just to introduce people to that and have a place for them um, to pursue it. I
Yeah.
have a friend that has a pit bull that they just started doing dock diving, and he's hilarious because he runs full speed and then stops at the edge of the dock and then plops in the water. But he loves it, and now they're going to competitions, and we're not going to go to the Olympics with this dog, but it's cool to see his human parents and him just getting so fulfilled from it and
Yeah.
excited, and
That's
so
so
it'd be cool
cute.
to
He just
tap into that
plops
with
in.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is really, that just cracks me up. Pit bulls have the funniest personalities. So
yeah.
I can just see that. That's great.
So what would be the ultimate dream for you with your, do you have a name for the rescue, or is it the Phoenix
So
Farm
I'm
Girl
just
rescue, or what?
it's right now I just started my channel, so it's Phoenix Farm Girl. Um so I'll probably keep it at that unless I do something different. It all depends on if I go and pursue the nonprofit and all that. But so far it's just Phoenix Farm Girl. Um I mean, my dream, I'm kind of living my dream of just being surrounded by animals and just different species. I guess I wish I had more land. If I had my dream, it would just be because I only have a little over an acre. So it'd be great if I had maybe 5 acres. And then, like the horses have more room and the donkeys have more room and that they could just
Mm-hmm.
live a better life. Because in Phoenix, it's not the place for a horse. Like
Yeah.
it's just like it's city life. But that would be my dream, just to have more space. If I could take care of more animals that and be able to afford it, like have so much funds and be able to help more, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, otherwise I'm pretty much living my dream. Like my high school dog that I rescued when she was a puppy, we were walking down the horse alleys, and because I'm like, that's where I wanted to live so bad, is in these horse properties. And I looked at her, I'm like, don't worry, Roxy, one day we're gonna have this. And we did. She only got to enjoy it for a few months before she passed away because she was 16 at that point. But it's
Wow.
just been a dream. So it's like I'm living my dream. I just want to be able to do more and help more. But I'm kind of at a stuck point, if that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I don't know. Plateau gets used negatively. Like you're not growing, but it's almost like you're at a healthy plateau where your limitations. You're
Yeah.
doing a ton. It's not like you rescued two animals and you're stuck there. Like you're doing a ton, and I don't know, just your property, the efficiency that you have, like just watching through the videos, like you have a lot packed in there. And I think in a healthy way too, because there's kind of the hoarder approach, people that'll have like all these kennels and dogs that are stacked on top of each other, but your animals have room. It would be nice if, like you said, the ones, especially with long legs, could have more,
Yeah.
but it's super impressive how
Thank you.
efficiently you're using that space.
I designed it too. So thank you. Like
Yeah,
I
that's
had to
cool.
use every nook and cranny of that to make it all
Hmm.
work. So thank
Yeah,
you.
it's obvious that that's not happenstance, that I was gonna ask if you designed it or if you brought somebody else on board to like figure it out, but
Yeah, no, I kind of, it all started with one, like the original pig pen. And then, as more animals come in, you have to extend it out. And then it just kind of all flowed. So I'm like, well, another one. So we'll use this part of the yard. But yeah, I had someone come out and do the welding, but I was able to just tell them where it goes. And then the roofs on everything. So there's protection for the chickens and all of that.
did you have all that before you got married?
So I was actually married before. So when I got
Uh-huh.
married before, I just had dogs and cats. And then we ended up moving here to take care of my father-in-law. And then he's like, yeah. So we all bought this place together. And then his dad passed away, and we got divorced, and I had to buy them out of the property. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so, but when I was married here, yes, like that's when I started getting the donkeys and the pigs and the goats and the horses. And his dad knew, he's like, let Tina have her dream come true. Like, let's get the property so that she can, live the life that she wants, as he knew, which was really sweet of him. Because
Yeah.
he didn't really care where he lived in Phoenix. So that's how I ended up here. And then I've been married now for 2 years.
Okay.
So yeah, I came with a lot of animals, but I've also had more animals
Uh-huh.
since that. But I haven't taken on any more since it's been like a year and a half since I've opened up my heart or my home and all that too. More because I am just kind of at that. This is good. This is
Yeah.
good. So
So he knew what he was getting into then.
yes, so my guy, this comes with the package. So it's not really his thing. Like he's not gonna like. I wish he would love to just go out and lay in the dirt with the pigs and pick up poop and all that, but it's not his thing.
Yeah.
Spreadsheets are his thing. That's not my thing. So we both have our own interests, and it's nice that he respects my passion and um, doesn't step on my toes with it. So it's
Mm-hmm.
nice, but it's just he doesn't really want anything to do with it, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
with the
No,
caretaking.
we so growing up, not quite to the level that you were, but I always loved animals and had them, and I always figured they'd be a huge part of my life. First career I ever wanted was to be a veterinarian, and we had a cat that died and had to be, or it got hit by a bike, and so we had to put it
Mm,
down. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to do this. I don't want to deal with cats coming in like that or
yeah.
dogs or whatever. And then married Ashley, and so I had a dog. When we moved out, my dad's like, "Yeah, I'm keeping the dog. I've done more for him than you guys have, and he's my dog now." He was a super cool dog. Um, and so married Ashley, and she doesn't like animals, and it's hilarious. There's this phenomenon where if somebody really doesn't like animals, the animals will find them.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you go to a house, and every dog is, nose right in her crotch, or like just sitting at the side of her, wanting pets or whatever. Cats would crawl on her lap, and she's just like, and
So true.
so so when she said I could get a dog, that was pretty exciting, and then she's just chipped in, and I don't know, I feel like if you put energy into loving and nurturing something, you can't help but form a bond. So
Yeah.
she can't walk by without petting him and stuff like that. And she still
Oh.
says, I kind of like him, I tolerate him. I'm like, whatever, you guys are buddies. Um, So I'd love to get another one. She says I have to get her a bigger house first. So, um,
And you're like,
but
that's gonna happen because I'm gonna. So I was gonna ask you, how many dogs, if it was up to you, how many dogs do you wish you had?
oh man, it'd be like the Asher house. Is that
Yeah.
guy that?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I'd be
he's
like
awesome.
that, man.
Go to the shelter and get
So
all
yeah,
the.
I have mixed feelings about him, but I can't hate somebody that takes 3 vans to a shelter and empties their euthanasia list. Like
Yeah,
without any dogs dying. That's pretty amazing.
that
So
is, and then his property must be huge
mhm.
to be able to do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's great when people have the ability to do that.
Yeah. Or maybe more like Caesar Milan, where his property, it's pretty big, but it's kind of like a spread out version of what you have. There's so many different things, and he can bring people there to teach them, demonstrate, lots of room for exercise and
Yeah,
and stuff. So
yeah, his place is amazing,
yeah.
and all of his animals, which is great.
So and what you've done, it's interesting because when I started this, when I first started learning about dogs, so I got Chongo, I wanted to learn how to train him. spent hundreds of dollars on programs that were more from like the positive reinforcement community, and didn't really have great results with that. Came across some content from some balance trainers that resonated a little bit more with me and kind of the way we raised kids, of being able to communicate limits and stuff like that. It made sense in my mind. So that's who I hired, somebody who can use tools, knows how to. And interestingly, his very first thing with me is like, let's put all the tools away and let's work on the relationship, you know. And
Yeah.
but there's so much fighting of the different camps, you know. And um, so I wanted to kind of bridge that gap, because if you don't know and you're just looking for information, and you hear somebody talk about a balanced trainer, like, oh, they're so abusive and they're going to do this and that, and it's damaging to the dog. And then that person was going to hire somebody, and now they're like, oh, I'm not going to use them. I don't know what to do now. I'm confused. So I'll just try to do my own thing. And maybe the dog doesn't get the training they need. Or on
Yeah.
the flip side, you know, a balance trainer is like, oh, yeah, you're going to PetSmart. Like, all they do is throw treats at people. And what happens if you don't have a hot dog and your dog's not going to listen to you? It's like, well, a lot of good training can happen in those puppy classes and with positive reinforcement trainers. And so I wanted to kind of bridge that gap and let people know, like, each individual and each dog is going to respond to different techniques and ideologies, and find one that fits for you and do what's best for your dog.
Yes.
But if we're spending time fighting, then that's time and energy that is not being used to help dogs and help people. And so I feel pretty strongly about that. And as I started kind of spreading that message, the biggest hurdle I've had is from the positive reinforcement community, that are just so much hyperbole about balance trainers and e-collars and prong collars, and so much misinformation, and the quantity of it. Like, there's got to be people that just don't know, and it's kind of what they feel, but a lot of them have to be um, intentionally misleading people. And it's really frustrating. And it's funny because a group that trains supposedly without any aversives, that I don't know if they're just saving them all up for the internet or what, but like I've been attacked by these people, and it's crazy. um, but have you run across that in your career, like people who have different ideologies about
Yes.
using
Yeah.
training or
Some people
whatever?
are, oh my gosh, a choke collar, or oh my gosh, an e collar, or the prong collar. I've You have people that support it and people that don't support it. And to me, it's every dog is an individual. If you have a very submissive pleaser, like my dog Kinsey, when I had a golden retriever, she was just very sweet and submissive. And it's like positive reinforcement treat training, great, that works for her. My other dog,
Mm-hmm.
Roxy, no, that's not going to work. She needed a little bit more like, she needed someone who's going to be the leader, or she was always challenging for the leader. So you have two different personalities, so they're going to respond differently to different types of training. And every kind of training could be abusive if you want to look at it that way. But you
Right.
have these tools, and as long as you use them properly and you're with a professional who's teaching you how to use them, I don't see any problem with it. I mean, there's just,
Mm-hmm.
luckily we have a society where there's different trainings for everybody. And I don't think we really need to be biting each other's heads off over it, because I've had a household of many dogs where certain trainings worked better for them that would not work for something else. And you just figure it out, and that's how you have your success with the
Yeah.
different types of training.
Yeah, I feel like if we get super attached to an idea or a method, we run into the danger of like vilifying people who don't agree with us.
Yeah.
And I was going somewhere with that, and I totally spaced. But yeah, it's I just wish people would focus more on what they're doing and less on fighting about what they're doing.
Yeah.
Or one of my pet peeves on, especially the video format of social media, TikTok and whatever, is when they do this. I think it's called a stitch. They'll show a clip of somebody doing something, and then they spend the next half of the clip like bagging on them.
Oh,
And it's
yeah.
like, okay, so if you don't like that, why don't you just make a video about how to do it right? You know? And
Yeah.
so I think a lot of them is just a cheap trick to try to get popularity and
Yeah.
follows by like individuals. And then, I don't know, no matter what you do or how you feel, it's very easy to kind of put yourself in an echo chamber, surround yourself with people who think like you, and then discredit anybody who doesn't. And that's true in everything: politics, parenting, whatever, you know. And um, So there's a guy who does a lot of content. He does marketing and a whole bunch of stuff. Gary Vaynerchuk, and he talks about how the world has gotten to be so red versus blue, and
Yeah.
the real magic is in purple. Like if we could bring people together a little bit more, and so I don't know. I feel like that's probably the biggest um, unlikely goal that I have, but I don't know. I You can make a difference. It's individual to individual, and I don't think I'll change the narrative as a whole, but hopefully I can find some people and
Yeah. I think
bring
it's
them
just a matter
together.
of, I mean, I guess the only way you can try is just respecting. I guess it's just a matter of mutual respect. Like, okay, well, that's your opinion. And I don't have to agree with it, but I respect that's your opinion. And
Yeah.
if people would just kind of have more of that ideology of those are your thoughts, your feelings, and I can't, nobody can change someone's thoughts or feelings, but it's like, you're just like, I hear you, I recognize that. Um, that would be great. But people also, they so much just want to change people's, the way they think, the way they feel,
Mm-hmm.
their beliefs and all that. But I don't know, maybe that would be a way to make a difference. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because to me, I don't want to argue with someone about politics. It's like, that's what you believe in. Cool. I'm not going to change your mind. I don't really want to fight with you about it. I just,
Yeah.
good for you. Like, you believe in something. Um, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense to me. A trick, I don't know. I don't want to call it a trick because it's actually brought a lot of value to my life and to my ability to respect other people. But if somebody was trying to convince me of a political ideology or whatever, then I don't care about your policies or your people that you want to vote for or anything else. But tell me, why do you feel that way? And
Yeah.
then you learn about their upbringing or their whatever, put that lens in front of their face that they feel like is the most important view in the world. I can at least learn where it came from and allows me to put my feet in their shoes a little bit.
Yeah.
So
That's a really good way to do it. Because then you kind of have more compassion and understanding of their thought process, which is great.
yeah.
Really great.
Well,
Because
I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of other questions for you. Is there anything that you wanted to share with us about making the world a better place for animals and getting them out of shelters and not being euthanized? And
I mean, if we can all just do our research, really figure out what pet is right for you. Like, I will always go out and read about, like, I got donkeys. I took in donkeys because I needed a predator, like an animal that would keep predators away. So it's like, okay, so I can get a guardian dog, I can get a donkey, or I can get a llama. A llama sounds really great, but they get valley fever here and they don't
oh,
handle the
really?
heat as well. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, that's not going to work here. So I'm not going to do that one. So I got donkeys. So it's just like, it's just learning about each breed and what they need and what is great for them and what's going to be great for you. And so people just do their research. I think it would go a long way. And then just, if you know that you're only going to live for 5 years, 5 more years, then take in a senior. And then that way
Mm-hmm.
the dog doesn't outlive you. You don't have to worry about scrambling to find it a place to live. I just thinking about things like that, like Wally, my donkey, I'll have her into my 70s. Like, you just have to plan how long these animals are going to live and how long you think you're going to how long you're going to live. And yes, like, things happen and that you can't control. But I think if people had that kind of mindset about the long commitment of each animal, that would also help. And if they can't afford spaying and neutering, they could always reach out to rescues. Because I know that there's some rescues that are like, yes, I will help you. It's easier for you to keep your animal in your home than it is for us to have to take your animal. So let's spay and neuter it. So there are rescues out there that want to help the community. So I think if people just kind of knew that and just reached out to whoever they could to see if they could get help, that would also help. Just thinking about life choices and reaching out for help when you want. And if we could all just be kinder to one another and not shame people for things that have happened in our lives. If we can avoid it, great, but sometimes you can't, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I think that's great. It's a perfect message to end on. And I love that. Like if you run into a situation with your pets, um, getting rid of them or keeping them aren't the only two options. Like you said, there's a lot of people that want to help you. Reach out and find out what those resources are, and maybe we can keep that animal in your home and face the challenges that are making you think about not keeping it.
Yeah, and there's even rescues that will help you find a foster for your
Mhm.
animal while you are, in between places. So
Mhm.
there's things out there like that. There's just the rescues just want to help,
Yeah.
and I think that's great. So
Yeah. Well, awesome. It was really fun talking with you, and hopefully we'll do it again. I'll do a
yeah,
better job of having an outline so that I can not talk as much and
no, I
let
think
you
it
do the
was great.
story.
You're
So,
talking. Yeah,
oh, good. Thanks.
no, it was great because I don't want it to be one sided. I think it's great hearing your perspective of things. It was a
Thank you.
good flow.
Cool. So where can people follow you, find you?
So right now I put a lot of stuff out on YouTube. So it's Phoenix Farm Girl, PHX Farm Girl, on YouTube. And then I have Instagram. I'm slowly getting into the social media world. I have not ever done social media, so this is huge for me to do this. So I'm slowly learning everything, but I do put most of my stuff on the YouTube because it reaches so many more people. But I have a TikTok and a Instagram that eventually I'll get rolling more, and then I'll probably end up doing Facebook also. But for now, that's where you can find me, and then I'll let you know where I go in the future because I'm just wherever I'm supposed to go, I'm up for it.
Yeah, and it'll happen. It's amazing that you started so recently, and it's already made a big impact for me. Learning more about what you did. I've run into family stuff here and there, and never knew.
Yeah.
So it's cool. Yeah, it's
Yeah, a lot of
exciting.
people had no idea. Like when I was grooming from home, my clients would come over and they're like, "What? Like this is your life?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Like people had no idea. People still don't really have. They don't really understand what I do every single day. So yeah. So I'm glad you finally know.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I didn't know how
Oh,
impactful you were in the dog community either. How like all your dreams and aspirations. I think it's amazing.
yeah. They were buried for quite a while. I didn't get my dog till 2 years ago, and it's been a process since then of it just bubbling more and more to the surface. And people who know me probably don't even need to know me well. Like I struggle with depression, anxiety, and stuff, and
Oh,
I can be fairly somber. And anybody that I've talked to recently, they're like, as soon as you start talking about the canine oasis and dogs and improving their lives, like you light up. You're the person we knew years ago.
oh,
That energy, and so I'm glad to have found it and to be evolving it, and what it's doing for me, and hopefully what it can do for a lot of other people. So
oh yeah, you're gonna make a huge difference. So that's great. So great. And then yeah, animals they heal us. They really do. And now that your heart is be starting to bubble over, like good luck. You're gonna do so much with that. And one day maybe you'll have 10 dogs with
yeah,
that big house that Ashley
I'll
wants.
say at the rescue this morning, the shelter that I was volunteering at, I saw one dog and a little pit bull that she was terrified sitting in the corner, and I'm like, I want to help her. I'm like, I wonder if Ashley would really divorce me if I brought her home right
What color was she?
now. She was kind of like a white and brown,
Oh,
not a brindle, but just kind of patchy.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun breed. It's one of my favorite breeds, but unfortunately, like because I have so many farm animals and so many animals, it's like I have one pit bull left, and ugh, like she'll be my last one because it's a lot of management with all the animals. But I love that breed. Love
Yeah.
them.
So much misinformation, and it's crazy. Like um even some content I've seen from trainers lately that are like a lot of them really should just be put down. Like
Mm,
they're so dangerous. And I'm like, man, like stop watching the news that misidentifies most dogs they say were bully breeds that were involved in an attack were actually some other breed. They're just misidentified because it's easy,
yeah.
and then you actually know one, and that smile and the cuddles and everything, like they're such great dogs. So
They are. It's a breed that like you really have to be dedicated to them and you have to make sure all their needs are met and you have to just like they're not for someone that doesn't understand dogs. And they're a dog that yeah, if they're put in a position where a dog wants to come up and bully them, they're not going to put up with it. So there's a lot to the breed that people don't really understand, but if you understand that, it's great. But you just have to know. But every dog is an individual where you can run into a dog that a pit bull that someone wants to fight, and they're like, oh, whatever. Like Caesar's pit bull was, you know, like a fantastic dog, but yeah, I mean, I just love them. They're my favorite.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah, I
I'm
mean,
on the
maybe
next
you,
dog to be a pit. So
yeah. Oh, you'll be in love.
yeah,
She's my favorite dog, but
yeah.
she's on the couch right now. But yeah, she's taking advantage of it. She's like, I'm not supposed to be up here, but yeah, you're busy.
Yeah, yeah, they're smart.
They are, but oh,
Cool. Yeah, well, let's do this again
yes,
sooner than later. It was fun.
it was fun.
Yeah,
So
maybe
thank
one of these
you,
days we'll come over and
and
help
meet
you
the farm.
muck a stall or feed a pig or something.
There's a there's a there's a poop storm that hits every day. So let me tell you,
Never ending. Cool.
it's a lot. But yeah, when the
All
weather
right.
cools off, you should come over.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. And until next time, everybody go check out Phoenix Farm Girl on YouTube and Instagram, and we'll see you then.
Thank you.
You bet.
Cool.